Boxing Ego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. 1. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego and I'm back with some more boxing. Today is Monday, which means Monday Mail Day. So I'm gonna get right into it. I put a thumb up next to the questions I'll answer. And I'm trying to get to a lot of questions, so let's get it in. Pause. First question, Frederick Cotton. Do you think this will be the year for Demetrius Andrade Boo Boo? Well, I hope it is. And I think he has it's for anybody. 2017 just started. We're still in the very first month. So whatever anybody has planned to do, start now. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I've been busting my ass in January to get off to a good start, covering a lot of boxing. There's a lot to talk about and there's no complaints here. So Demetrius Andrade, also being a fighter, he has that ability. It's the very first month of the year and he has a fight already scheduled. He's gonna fight in Germany. I believe that's in March 11th if I'm not mistaken. So it's still fresh. I would try, if I was Andrade, I would try to get another. If you win that fight, then try to get another fight immediately. Don't wait and don't be the fighter that's fighting one time a year for 4 years, because you're never gonna grow your brand fully doing that. So yeah, I think this could be a better year, but it is really up to his promotional team, his team in general, to manage him that right way, right? And he has the skills to do it. That goes without question. Next question is, I was born ready. What do you think will happen with the Spence versus Brook situation? I think Brook will vacate or get stripped. Who will accept the fight with Spence for the IBF belt? Do you think the size advantage of Charlo will help him in the Hatley fight? Because I've seen a pic of Hatley next to John Jackson and he looked small as hell. I seen that. Somebody sent me that picture. He did look small. I didn't realize he was that small. But I didn't realize, I think John Jackson is just kind of big. Julian Jackson's son is big. Shout out to Julius. I know him. So I don't know. I think John Jackson might be big. I think Charlo's size, he's not as big as his brother, but yeah, that should definitely help him. But I haven't seen enough of Hatley. I've seen his fight with like Mundine and a couple fights on YouTube and stuff, but I haven't seen enough of him to really rate his chances. I've seen a lot more of the Charlo brothers. But Kell Brook, I think, like you said, I think he'll get stripped or he'll vacate or move up or whatever. I don't think Errol Spence is next, because if you wanted to fight him, they're making it sound like this is a last ditch option. You know what I mean? Like, you had no problem fighting any other mandatories. Now all of a sudden you're saying, oh, why should we fight him? Nobody knows. People aren't really talking about Errol Spence and this and that and yada yada yada. So I think if you're putting all that out publicly, then to me it doesn't sound like you're trying to fight the man. So I think he'll end up moving up if it doesn't look like the Khan fight's going through. But let's see if he'll surprise the boxing world. But his time is ticking because it's almost February, and at the end of the month, his medical extension runs out. Next question is COTTO Kid. Yo, Ego, what are your thoughts on Carl Frampton wanting to go into a trilogy fight right away? Do you think it's a good or bad idea? I mean, first of all, when he said it, because I was there, it was immediately, it's post-fight. So you just lost for the first time in your pro career. You had all these people fly out 4,000 plus miles from Ireland and UK and stuff to see you. So maybe he should think about it with his team, get with his team, because the emotions run high immediately after. Like, just imagine you getting in a street fight or whatever, and then someone's trying to calm you down, like, oh, let's go get milkshakes. You'd be like, what? Like, you know what I mean? You're still riled up. So it might have been something like that. He just said it post-fight. He didn't anticipate losing, probably didn't think he would lose. Didn't think Leo Santa Cruz would do what he did right in that fight. And it is what it is. So emotions run high. As far as if he really, even like a month from now, wants it straight away, I don't have a problem with that. The first fights were fun, good action, and that kind of thing. And neither guy doesn't look like they're trying to fight Rigondeaux. So, I mean, might as well keep fighting each other and then just move on to other options like Abner Mares. I don't know. Just trilogies and rematches, a lot of times they happen immediately, and they'll do the best because the last fight is still fresh on people's mind. Like Ward and Kovalev, if they fight this year, they just fought in November, so it'll still be fresh on people's mind. But if they wait 3 years and other things happen in their career, then it's not going to be probably as big. So they might as well just have a stalemate rubber match and get it over with. I'm okay with that. Next question is Ruben Crespo Jr. Bronze Bomber versus Cannon Briggs. What you think? Chill. I like it. I do. I think it's a good fight. There's a video that surfaced where Deontay Wilder, I think, was in New York and Cannon Briggs ran up on him. Yeah, I said yeah. But in all actuality, I'm a realist, so I don't think this would happen next. Cannon Briggs is still high risk and he doesn't bring as much reward. That's one thing. Second of all, it's only a month's time. I know guys sometimes throw it out that they'll fight last minute, but a lot of times it's not that easy. Like, look at this. Fighters do this. Fighters say stuff like on Twitter, like, oh, I'll fight him tomorrow. All I need is 4 weeks, right? And it sounds good publicly, but then post-fight, when they win a fight, they'll say, oh, what's next for you? Oh, I got to talk to my team. It's up to my team and my promoter. It's up to Al Haymon, you know what I'm saying? Or whoever they're with. So fights aren't really made like that. One fight fell through, the Andre Wavorsky, and he failed a drug test. He's out the picture. So I don't know. I really don't see Cannon Briggs. He's always in shape and stuff. I don't see him falling or sliding into that slot. Another big reason for that is Cannon Briggs has the option to, he's most likely going to get ordered, because he was ordered to fight Lucas Brown for the WBA vacant belt since Tyson Fury failed his drug test with cocaine, and Lucas Brown failed his drug test. It's a lot of heavyweights failing drug tests, but Lucas Brown's out of the picture, but Cannon Briggs is most likely going to fight Fresh Oquendo. So if you're going to get a title shot, a WBA title, and Fresh Oquendo definitely isn't as ranked as Deontay Wilder. He's not as tall as Deontay Wilder. He doesn't have the power of Deontay Wilder, right? So the risk for Cannon Briggs isn't as high, and it's still for a title. So, I mean, it doesn't make sense for fighters to jump off of the route or the track. It's not even about being scared. It doesn't make sense to completely abandon one path you're already on and start going a different way. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's say you accidentally take a wrong street and you've been following the wrong street for 20 miles, but that wrong street will still get you to where you're trying to go. I mean, at this point, it doesn't make sense to U-turn and go in the other way and then go back to the exit you missed. You might as well just keep going on the path that you're on. That's kind of a quick analogy. So, I mean, it doesn't make sense for Cannon Briggs to pass up a title shot with Fresh Oquendo, a guy who's probably easier to beat than Wilder, a champion, right? So might as well fight for that vacant belt. It's just like Errol Spence is on the route to get an IBF shot. So why would he back out of that? And I mean, I don't know if Kell Brook's going to vacate or whatever, but even if he does vacate or get stripped, then Errol will probably fight somebody for the vacant belt. So you're already one step away from a title shot. Why would you instead opt out and then Errol Spence go and fight Sean Porter or go and fight Andre Berto? Are those bad fights? No, they're not bad fights, but they don't bring you the title shot either. You know what I'm saying? So I really don't see Wilder versus Briggs happening next. Could it happen in the future? Definitely, especially if Cannon Briggs gets that WBA title from Fresh Oquendo. And I'm just kind of waiting on the official date and venue and stuff like that for that fight. And then that's also just another last point that I want to add is that's also to jump off of your track. It doesn't make as much business sense for you as a fighter. If Cannon Briggs beats Fresh Oquendo, becomes a WBA champion, so a legit organization and sanctioning body we all know, right? Now he has more pull and more clout when he fights Deontay Wilder, because he can be like, hey, I got a belt too. Now it's belt for belt. Fight me in a unification, right? Versus if he just jumps off his track and fights Wilder, he's only fighting for Wilder's belt. But if he gets a belt and obtains one himself, then now he has a little bit more bargaining chips at the negotiating table. Simple mathematics, simple business. Next question. Pretty boy Floyd Mayweather. Ego, do you think if Mikey Garcia was active for those 2 years that he would have been moved up in weight and fought Crawford? I mean, it's neither here nor there. He sounds pretty bout it in terms of who he's down to fight. Reason being is he didn't have to fight Dejan Zlaticanin. I really think the Jorge Linares Anthony Corolla fight, that's probably less of a danger, just because they're both champions and good fighters, but power-wise, Dejan Zlaticanin had a more of a knockout ratio, and he was the more unknown commodity. I've seen tons of Linares fights, and I've even seen multiple Anthony Corolla fights. So, I mean, it sounds like he's down to fight everyone. Post-fight, he said he would fight Crawford. They fought in the amateurs. He knows him well, and it's a good fight. But realistically, it doesn't make sense to look back on what could have or should have been for those 2 years, because sometimes you have to go through different things. I went through plenty of rough patches. I went through rough patches where nothing was going right and stuff like that. But sometimes those get you to the promised land. You know what I mean? You go through those tough times. So it really doesn't matter if he would have moved up in those 2 years or not, because the fact is he didn't. He was on the shelf and he didn't fight at all. So I think his temperament, just to answer your question, I think he does. I think he is willing to fight Crawford. I mean, there's nothing he showed me that I would call his bluff, right? And an indication would be he didn't sound scared. He said, yeah, I respect Crawford. I know him well, and let's do it. You know what I'm saying? He didn't like bat an eyelash. Next question. AJ's, a fight that I'm excited for is Jarrett Swift Hurd versus Tony Superbad Harrison. What's your, I think that's supposed to be opinion on those two guys. It's a good fight. I really like it. I think it's a good fight. Obviously, it's a step up for Swift Hurd. He looked good versus Oscar Molina, sick ass uppercut. He looked good in his last fight on that Danny Garcia Vargas card. And Tony Superbad Harrison, he lost to my dude Willie Nelson, but he didn't look bad in the fight. He just got caught and ended up losing to a power puncher with amateur experience in Willie Nelson. So stuff like that happens in boxing. Since then, he bounced back and he still has power. He still has a flashy attitude and stuff like that. So I like the fight. I think it's good. I think it's a real good fight. It's just, see, that's what is making it hard for people to compete, because Al Heyman, not only is he doing like Garcia Thurman type fights, he also has fights like this fight that should be really good that was announced, and also like Marcus Brown versus Thomas Top Dog Williams. Those should all be very good fights, right? I really see that those being explosive fights, even though they're like kind of sleeper hits, like the names aren't just ringing immediate bells, but those should be very good fights. Next question is from Kota Kid. Ego, other reporters asked Mikey Garcia about future fights with Terence Crawford and Jorge Linares. What do you think about those two fights possibly happening, and do you think they will be good fights? Definitely good fights. I mean, lightweight has a couple of players, and if the top dogs face each other, unifications and stuff like that, they're good fights. If Mikey moves up to 140, fights a guy that beat him in the amateurs, beat his, I think it was his cousin in the amateurs, in Terence Crawford, then that's also a good fight. So I think they're definitely possible. I don't think they're next. Richard Schaefer, when post-fight, he said Mikey just won the title. It'd be nice to have him put him on a LA card. And yeah, I don't think Crawford fight, since he's with Top Rank, I don't think they would probably do it in LA. You know what I mean? I don't think Bob Arum would. Crawford's a champion with multiple belts at 140, so I don't know. I don't see him giving Mikey Garcia the hometown advantage, especially with that co-promotion. But yeah, they're all good fights. I think Mikey's down to fight these people, and him being on the sidelines for 2 years, it kind of awoke the sleeping giant, and now he has something to fight for, and that kind of reinvigorated him. Because, I mean, just think of, I know people who have certain jobs, like certain union workers, construction workers, crab fishermen, different people go through this, where their jobs are kind of seasonal. When the money's on, and you're making good money working in construction or working with a union, but then they have like dry spells with layoffs, and then they have to get on unemployment, or their money's cut drastically. You know what I'm saying? So stuff like that. So I think those moments will make you appreciate it when you get it. And that's kind of what I think for Mikey Garcia. Him being on the sidelines and his money probably dwindling down. I don't know what he was doing. Maybe just because his family has money. Maybe he's already set and paid for it. I don't know. But not producing the money on your own is probably a down time. He's probably downtrodden, where he couldn't earn a living because he was dealing with the legal battle that kept him out of the ring. So I think he's focused and I think he's ready. Next question, Dana ID Matthews. Hey, Ego. Is there any way to tell if a fighter has good stamina or not? I've seen fighters who look soft and last forever, and some who look like Hercules but can't last. Could you also talk a little about the difference between physical and mental stamina? I feel the mental side of boxing is underrated and doesn't get talked about enough. I appreciate your channel. Keep up the honest work. Thank you. Yeah, body physique doesn't really have nothing to do with it, because that is similar to power. I see guys that they have cracks and they don't really look, they don't look like some freakish monsters, or you know what I mean, some Terry Crews looking dudes. Like John Molina clearly has power, Lucas Batiste has power, Kendall Holt, but none of those guys just look like, they just look like everyday regular body types. And then you have guys like Timothy Bradley, who's ripped as shit and he's not really known for his power. So yeah, the power is similar to kind of what you're saying, like in terms of stamina. It's not always an indication, and sometimes boxers have like weird, like boxy shapes, so it's not about getting cut up. A lot of guys don't want to get too cut up because it's harder to, muscles require oxygen, and you don't want to be so dense where your muscles have to breathe and you fatigue early. So it's a dangerous process and you have to do it the right way. So it's not really a telltale way. It's just kind of like power, like, or chin. You can't just look at someone and be like, damn, that dude, I know he could take a punch. You have to kind of see it, and it's just really based on, I mean, what you've seen and what we see from these fighters. Like, I mean, Floyd Mayweather, he's definitely in shape and stuff like that, but looks like he could do 15 rounders easy. Like, you know what I'm saying? It looks like he almost gets better. He almost stopped Cotto in the 12th round, right? So he actually has the stamina to go, right? And then you had Canelo at some points of his career early. He looked in shape and stuff like that, and it looked like he was fighting in spurts, and it looked like he had stamina issues. So I don't know. I don't really think there's really a way to tell. Plus, there's too many different styles. Certain styles, some guys don't barely even throw any punches, versus some guys are like Leo Santa Cruz and throw 1,000 punches, 1,100 punches by the time the fight's over. So yeah, I don't think there's really a way to tell. But the mental aspect is huge in boxing. And the difference between physical and mental stamina is because physically, like, physical is what your body can do physically, like that's tangible, people can see it. Mental, you can't put a price on that. Physically, Victor Ortiz, to me, he could be a beast. Like, he's a southpaw, he has a big frame for the division, and he has power, he has speed. Mentally, that's where he struggles, right? Sometimes if it gets down to a crunch situation, he's not the guy you want to necessarily rely on. Sometimes his heart doesn't show up. Sometimes his mental game fails him before his physical game. So to me, that's like the difference. Then you have other guys who are like physically gifted, and when it gets too much of a crunch situation, they fold. They don't know how to deal with certain things. I don't know about in general, but I think Amir Imam versus Adrian Granados, that was a situation where a guy wasn't doing and cooperating and falling like your other opponents, so he kind of was stuck, didn't really know what to do, and he got broken down by a guy he hurt early. So that's just my brief insight. Next question, another one from AJ's. In a recent interview, Shawn Porter said he's only interested in fighting top fighters, quote-unquote top 5. That's why he isn't interested in fighting Errol Spence. That got me thinking, why the fuck is he calling out Berto when he's ranked number 14? In your opinion, is this considered a duck? I mean, first of all, I haven't personally seen this Shawn Porter interview. I missed the roundtable when I was out in Vegas, so I didn't personally get to talk to him, so I'm just going off of what you're saying as opposed to hearing the direct quote of actually what he said. But if he said that, I don't think you can pin that as a duck. There's nothing. He's coming off a loss to Keith Thurman, so there's nothing in it where Shawn Porter has to fight Errol Spence. Like, obviously, do I want to see it? Yes, of course I want to see it, but he's not in a situation like Kell Brook or Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman, a champion. He's not even a champion, so it's not like he's in a position where you should be defending against guys like Errol Spence or highly ranked guys like Errol Spence. So he's not really in any kind of situation where he's linked, where he must fight Errol Spence right now, right? That's one thing. The other thing, if he said top 5, I don't know. I didn't know Berto was ranked number 14, but see, that's a little bit tricky too, because Berto being ranked 14, that sounds a little bit extreme. He might be ranked 14 in a certain sanctioning body, but I can't think of 13 other welterweights ahead of Berto in every single sanctioning body. You know what I mean? Obviously, you would probably rank KELL, Brook, Danny Garcia, Floyd, Pacquiao, Keith Thurman, right? Who else is there? That's 5 people. Errol Spence, okay, that's 6. So who are the other 6 to 7 people that are ranked before Berto in the welterweight division? Amir Khan, Sammy Vasquez, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I don't know what source you're getting for Berto being ranked 14. Maybe that's one particular organization, but I don't think Berto's ranked 14 or that close to 15 in all sanctioning bodies. Because again, I can't think of 13 other people that would be ranked ahead of him in every single organization. That's just me. So I don't think at this point you could say Shawn Porter's ducking Errol Spence. If he fights him, that's a hats off to him. That's a good fight. That's a dangerous fight stylistically and stuff like that. But Berto, the last part of your question, Berto is a bigger name. And you know what I mean? That's what a lot of guys are kind of going with. Berto does have a bigger name than Errol Spence Jr. So that's probably why. That's probably what he means by top 5. Like top 5, either a top 5 guy or a bigger name. And that's, no one wants to regress. And that's how these fighters, it sounds like, are saying and talking and whatnot. Is like, I just fought Keith Thurman. I just started Shawn Porter Promotions. 4 million people or something viewed the Thurman fight. So I want to keep on that trend. You know what I mean? I want big. I mean, everyone's doing it. Kell Brook saying, "Oh, after Golovkin, I'm a big name now. I just want the big name." So everyone wants the big, high-profile fights and stuff, and no one wants to feel like they're backtracking. Next question, James Lopez: who would win, Mikey or Terence at 140? Who would you lean towards? Are you going to Danny Jacobs versus Golovkin fight? Who you got? I got 1,000 on Danny Jacobs, smiley face. Not sure. I've never been to New York before. There's a lot of boxing. I gotta fund all these trips, so you know what I mean. It really depends, like pricing and hotels and stuff. I've never been to New York. Heard it's kind of pricey, so it depends if I go. We have to wait for my 7 reasons to find out who I'm picking, because that's how I like to do my predictions with that. That's what I've been doing. And it's a good fight. Number 1 and number 2 middleweight. I'm happy for it. As far as Mikey Terence, that's a tough fight. At 140, I would pick Terence Crawford just because he beat him already in the amateurs. I think more than once. And then 2, he seems to keep getting better and improving. So does Mikey Garcia. Is very talented, very technical. But I think Mikey Garcia does better with guys who come at him. Like, if you don't have much of a defense based on his technique and stuff like that, I think that's where it's going to be at. Like Roman Martinez or Orlando Salido, Dejan Zlaticanin, those guys. Terence Crawford has showed me time and time again he can mix it up a lot more. He can brawl. If that's not working, then he can use his legs and then like pot shot you. I mean, he's just doing it, and he can switch from southpaw to orthodox, and arguably he's the better at southpaw. So I think those different looks could puzzle Mikey Garcia. I think it could be a war, though. I think it could be that type of fight. I really rate Mikey Garcia. I think it's a good fight. It's a difficult fight. But Terence Crawford, he's the man at 140. He has the most belts. He already beat Mikey Garcia. He's acclimated to the weight. He, I think, is a little bit taller because I met both of them. I think he's a little bit taller. Reach is probably a little bit longer. And he has more experience. And he rehydrates pretty good, too. Sometimes he rehydrates to 153, 155-ish, something like that. So it's a fun fight. It's a meaningful fight. I would definitely support it. I would try to go to something like that. But I got to favor Terence Crawford, who just shows me different shades of what he can do. And he has more experience plays a big part at the weight. Mikey Garcia, he looked spectacular. I was there live. He looked spectacular versus Dejan's Latitianen, but fight styles make fights, and Crawford fights nothing like Latitianen. Latitianen had no jab at all, none, right? And he was the shorter man walking straight in. Like, I mean, you're asking to get picked off. He was getting frustrated and had no answer on how his short frame can get on the inside. Different puzzle for Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford, I think he's taller this is the eye test from meeting both of them. I think Terence Crawford's taller, longer reach. And I was at Terence Crawford's last fight. I covered that live for the channel, Boxing Ego. And against John Molina, he did just like Mikey Garcia, where he just bop, 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 pumping that jab out. So I don't think Terence Crawford would allow Mikey Garcia to jab his brains out without throwing his jab back, like Dejan's Latitianen. That's what Dejan did. But I really can't picture Crawford trying not to respond with his own jab, because he has a very good jab too. So all in all, it's a good fight. Props to the winner if they do make it, and props to them if they even take that. But I would lean towards Crawford, more experience at the weight, and he holds the win over the amateurs. Next question, Matias Lescano. Your thoughts on the fight between Billy Joe Saunders and Avontel Kurtidze? I like it. I heard that the WBO, I think it is, ordered the particular fight. I like it. I think it's a good fight. I think realistically, if Golovkin goes in there and bombs out Danny Jacobs, he's clearly the best middleweight. I mean, I think he's the best middleweight now. Danny Jacobs, I mean, I still haven't made a full prediction on it, but I mean, he's the man. I think, this is my opinion, if Triple G beats Danny Jacobs, Billy Joe Saunders can't beat him. I know I said styles make fight, but I think, if anything, I think Danny Jacobs, his style, his frame, his power is different, and that's a more telling picture for Golovkin's style than Billy Joe Saunders. Like, what is Billy Joe Saunders? I think Danny Jacobs has more power than Billy Joe Saunders. They both box pretty well. I think the athleticism would probably be close, but I would probably lean towards Jacobs. I would say he's more explosive, just more rhythmic and explosive than a Billy Joe Saunders. He looks to be taller than Billy Joe Saunders. He has an amateur background like Billy Joe. So again, if Triple G beats Jacobs easy, then I don't give Billy Joe Saunders a shot, because he, again, struggled with Wolverine. I don't even know if Danny Jacobs would struggle with Wolverine if he fought him, right? I don't think so, right? Unless Wolverine kept using his healing process. Hey, Berserker Barrage! Berserker Barrage! And he was using his, like, drill power, his rapid healing, recovery, Weapon X shit. But that being said, Triple G's already fighting Jacobs, so that to me establishes the best middleweight. So anything else is just secondary. So a fight with Billy Joe Saunders and Kurtidze is it's an interesting fight. I like it. Kurtidze beat Antoine Douglas. He's a huge fan of Mike Tyson. And if anything, I mean, I'm not saying, obviously, this is just my opinion. If Triple G beats Jacobs, then I'm easily picking him to beat Billy Joe Saunders like I have been. But Kurtidze style-wise would at least gear you up for a Golovkin fight. And maybe Billy Joe, if he beats him impressively, then he can go into the Triple G fight and bring something that can possibly beat him. But as of right now, what I've seen from both, I think Danny Jacobs stylistically, frame-wise, physically, and what he brings to the table is more of a threat to Golovkin. If anyone has a chance to pull an upset at middleweight, I think Jacobs has more of an edge than Billy Joe Saunders. So I like a fight like Billy Joe Saunders, Kurtidze. And again, it's a unification if Billy Joe Saunders does fight Golovkin. So Kurtidze, if you can't beat him, you can't beat Golovkin, to me. So it's a good warm-up fight for that. So I like it. I like the decision. Next question, Big C. What's good, Ego? If Mikey wins this fight, who is next? He did win the fight, so you obviously put this before the outcome. I'm not sure. I have to look at the lightweight picture. Me personally, I love Robert Easter Jr. I think that's the #1 fight I want to see for him at lightweight. He's the IBF champion. If he gets past his February Toledo defense, I love that fight. Other option would be Anthony Corolla, Jorge Linares winner. I have to really just look at the picture because I can't think of all the top lightweight. Lightweight was kind of stale for a while. That's why guys like Broner and Terence Crawford left, because it didn't really have any top names. So I have to see who's currently there and ranked and what promotional company they're with and things like that to give you a better answer. But as of right now, the main fight I want to see from Mikey Garcia is Jorge Linares Corolla winner, but over that would be Robert Easter Jr. I like that stylistically. But there's also guys like Denis Shafikov, guys like Jamel Herring, guys like Richard Comey. But other than that, I have to get deeper, I'd have to look at it. So any of those fights, unifications or just overall good fight rank guys, I think that could be next for Mikey Garcia. But I think he really truly, you don't sit on the sidelines for 2 years and not want to come back when you're active. You know what I mean? He was joking, telling people he's retired and stuff, but I know it probably bothered him. So I don't think he's anxious to sit on the shelf now. So that's a good thing that he went through that, because now it made him hungrier. Next question comes from James Gordon. Mikey Garcia said possibility 140 later this year. What is the soonest you see him in there with Crawford? Now that's a tough thing. I mean, obviously Mikey Garcia, after that performance, he put the division on notice at lightweight. He wants to unify, so I think they want to stay at 135. I don't really see him moving up to 140 this particular year. You have to keep in mind, this is a guy from the lighter divisions who had a 2-year hiatus where he wasn't fighting, and then he came back against Elias Rojas. He looked good, but that wasn't a true. He actually had some ring rust in that fight. Wasn't a true 140 pounder. It was just kind of a fight that he should win, which he did by stoppage. It looked a little bit rusty, but he looked spectacular versus Dejan Zlaticanin, and I really think he's going to campaign at 135. He said he's down to fight Crawford. That's a mega fight, but I think they would build up to that. I think he's going to stick around 35 to see if he can unify, and hopefully Crawford's still at 140 by next year so they can fight. It's just a hell of a fight and a rematch from the amateur. So I don't personally think he's going to move up to 40 unless it's for Broner, and that's a little bit easier to make. Reason being, Broner is on the Richard Schaefer, Al Heyman side of things, the PBC side of things, where Mikey Garcia has previously fought his last 2 fights on Premier Boxing Champs cards, versus Crawford is with Bob Arum with Top Rank across the street. And you know how that goes with the semi-Cold War. Even though Al Heyman and Bob Arum have mended their relationship or talked about potential fights, they haven't put on a fight as big as Mikey Garcia, Terence Crawford yet. So we'll have to wait and see. Next question is from Christian Boswell. 1, we've seen Leo Santa Cruz with 2 different styles against Frampton. In the second fight, Frampton was outboxed by Leo's amateur-like version of a boxer. Does that fact opens a conversation for Frampton being a hype job? 2, shouldn't Dana White be afraid that McGregor will take out his security, then ultimately taking him out? After all, he said McGregor could do this to Floyd and company. Yeah, I mean, I already told you what that was. Floyd is a mastermind with the psychological warfare, and he's planted the seeds and created some tension between the Conor McGregor Dana White side of things. That's how I see it. Dana White, he's a promoter basically, so I didn't take that serious when he said that McGregor will demolish Floyd's whole crew and stuff. Like I said, if you've been around Floyd's crew, seen them dudes they're big dudes. I'm a big dude. I'm way bigger than Conor McGregor, right? And those dudes were big. Like one of the dudes legit like 7 feet tall, right? So I don't pay too much mind what Dana White's saying when he says stuff like that. It's clearly for headlines and to promote his fighter, and UFC's the best. As far as your first question, I'm not gonna say Frampton's a hype job. I think that's harsh. Losing to a good fighter who was just undefeated before you beat him, I don't think that qualifies as a hype job. I don't think Leo Santa Cruz is boxing. Leo Santa Cruz has an amateur pedigree too. A lot of people don't really talk about it, but he fought Gary Russell Jr. in the amateur. So it's not like he just started boxing, like he just came into boxing late at age 25 or something like that. So I didn't really see him being an amateur. Like, is he gonna have the finesse of a Rigondeaux, or is he a pure boxer? No, I don't think that either. But I don't think he did a horrible job. I was at the fight live, so I don't know. I didn't really see it being so amateurish where he, like, anybody would just be able to beat that version of Leo Santa Cruz. He throws a lot of punches. He's a volume puncher. It looks like he could take a punch. He's pretty tough. He was focused. So, I mean, it is what it is. Frampton lost to a guy who was out for revenge. It was either revenge or repeat, and Leo Santa Cruz made sure that it wasn't a repeat. So that's how I seen it. Next question is from Ivan Drago. I must break you. Ego, great job covering Frampton Santa Cruz. John Jones was fighting a jiu-jitsu tournament outside of UFC, and UFC didn't seem to have any involvement. Is there any chances for Conor to get a Floyd fight? I mean, is there any chances to go around UFC roadblocks? Feels like lately in the media that the fight sounds more realistic. I know Floyd will easily work him in the ring, but oh my God, the build-up and smack talk itself would be worth a pay-per-view. And as far as UFC, they do have ways to benefit from the fight. For example, putting some UFC fights on the card. There are ways to market things, and it feels like a best marketing fight to happen. Yeah, I mean, obviously that's why people would tune in. Two big names in combat sports, period. Right? Whether you give Conor McGregor a chance or not, they're both talkers, they're both salesmen, and they both can scrap. They fight different. Conor McGregor's a southpaw. So, I mean, who knows? You know what I mean? I don't think he would win, but that's my opinion. Floyd is not a spring chicken either, you know what I mean? So it's like Conor McGregor, he's fought out all the way at 170. He clearly has power. Now, could he do anything with Floyd? I mean, Floyd's fought bigger guys, but I think more people are fake. They always say, "Oh, I'm not watching that, I'm not buying that," and then I do a post-fight video, and they're right there in the comment section talking about what they seen and what happened in round 2 and 3. So clearly, that's not the case. People say they're not watching this and that, and then they watch it, right? So it would be a big fight. John Jones, his situation a little bit different, just because he can't compete in the UFC because of he failed his drug test. So the UFC probably doesn't care if he wants to make money or get exposure elsewhere in these other little grappling tournaments and stuff that he's doing, like Henderson or whoever he's fighting. And Conor McGregor's the cash cow currently. You know what I mean? John Jones has been, how many times has he fought in the last 2 years? He hasn't really fought that many times. But I don't know, because I don't know UFC's contract. I don't know what it stipulates that he can and can't do. But all I know is I don't see Dana White being in a rush to make the fight, really, because his fighter will probably lose if it's boxing only rules. And he knows that. Next question, Keith Mathis, one fresh to death. Ego, my brother from another mother. Why is Guillermo Rigondeaux not trying to sign with Al Heyman? I think that would be a good move for him. And also, would you give Andre Berto much of a shot with Sean Porter? I feel like he could catch Porter coming in with a counter uppercut, but I don't think he would win. First question is, I think it's kind of too late. Rigondeaux's already in a contract with Rock Nation, so I don't think he can sign. He's with Caribe Promotion, and he's partnered with Rock Nation, so I don't think he can. If he wanted to move to Al Heyman, you know what I mean, he would already had to make that move before he signed to Rock Nation. So now it's too late. Like, people, I always see people say this on like Monday Mail Days and in the comments and stuff, like, why doesn't Rigondeaux just go with Al Heyman? I mean, he would have had to already make that decision. You know what I'm saying? And the other thing is, some of the Cuban fighters who are getting up there in age, sometimes I don't know. I'm not Al Heyman. I'm not the Watsons or anybody like that. So I don't know. But Al Heyman has to want them. You know what I mean? Some of those guys are 35, 36, 38 years old. Like Yuriorkis Gamboa. He was a free agent for a while, and I don't know if he got offers from Al Heyman or whatnot. Same thing with Rigondeaux. Maybe Al Heyman seen Rigondeaux and wasn't in a real rush, like, oh, we can't get this guy over there, or we can't market him, or whatever. Nobody wants to fight him. So I don't know. Al Heyman has to want him also. It's not just like, oh, Rigondeaux could just everybody's seeking him out and he could just pick whoever he wants to go with. So I don't know the parameters and the particulars, but at this point he's already in a contract with Rock Nation Sports, so it's kind of too late. He should have made that move before. But again, I don't know the details. Maybe Al Heyman thought he was too old and didn't want to match him with Leo Santa Cruz or whatever. Maybe he felt it's not a business move. I don't know. I don't know the particulars. I mean, obviously it would be a good look because Heyman has a big stable. As far as Berto Porter, it's a good fight. I wouldn't sleep on Berto. I mean, Berto clearly has power. He's a full-fledged welterweight, and they were on the same card for Spike TV. I think it was the first Spike TV Premier Boxing Champs card. They were both on it, and I really didn't realize how much taller like Berto looks than Shawn Porter. So he does have like some advantages in there. He definitely has speed, and you got to keep in mind, Berto. It would be an exciting fight because Berto fights flat-footed a lot of times, but he clearly has pop. I was at his fight with Ortiz, the second one, and I mean he got him out of there. He hurt him, and then it was really. I don't think Victor Ortiz quit in that fight. I think he was genuinely hurt in that particular fight. It just he has this cloud over his head about quitting and not having heart. So it wasn't. Some people said he quit, but I was literally in like the second row. I was very close, and I think he was genuinely hurt. So Berto clearly has power, and Broner was able to sit Shawn Porter down in that 12th round. I never really considered Broner a full-fledged welterweight. Right? You look at his best performances, and they weren't at welterweight. Shawn Porter's performance wasn't Broner's best. He didn't really even do anything for 11 rounds until the 12th. Maidana clearly wasn't Broner's best, and even the Paulie Malignaggi, a bit controversial, like the Daniel Ponce de Leon. So it's a good fight. I mean, Berto being flat-footed, that presents opportunities for Shawn Porter, who likes to stay on people's chest. Pause. So overall, it's a good fight. I wouldn't sleep on Berto, but Porter would probably open up as the favorite. He's the one who's perceived as fresher, and he has less losses than Berto. He's never been stopped, so he would probably open the favorite, but I think it'd be a very good fight and a very exciting fight. Next question, random commenter. What weight should Cotto versus Marquez be at if they ever were to fight? Or to fight? I think a fair weight would be like 150, 151. I mean, I don't know what Marquez, he's a former lightweight who moved up, but I mean, all these fighters cut weight to some degree. I know Marquez is not walking around at like 140 in the 140s. I mean, I've seen him. So, I mean, it's all a weight cut. It's just how much weight do you want to sacrifice, because Cotto has fought as far as 159 pounds when he fought Sergio Martinez. So do you want to give him any kind of edge? Marquez is saying he wants it at 147. I mean, I don't know if Cotto can make that at this point, right? I heard Cotto's not a gym rat like that too. Doesn't like to do his cardio. So, again, I don't know if 147 is realistic. Not a big fan of catchweights, but I mean, in this case, it seems like a catchweight would be needed. So my bid would be like 150, 151. That's what I think. Next question, Mark G. Ego, do you think Mikey will try to unify with Robert Easter? Because in interviews, I never heard Easter's name come out of his mouth, but he mentions all the other champs at 135. He says he wants to unify. Robert Easter just now starting to get the buzz, and it's a good fight. So I don't know. I don't know why. I can't speak on behalf of Mikey why he didn't mention Easter Jr. But it's definitely the fight. That's the number one fight I want to see for Mikey Garcia at 35. Without moving up to 40 for Broner or Crawford, those are the top fights I want to see for him at 140. You know what I mean? Some people are saying Lomachenko, Mikey at 35. That's cool. I would definitely watch that. It's an interesting clash of styles and stuff. But Lomachenko just recently moved up to 130. Why not stay there? You still got names in that division. You know what I mean? You got Tevin Farmer, who has fought at 130 before, I believe. You have Gervonta Tank Davis. You have the guy that just beat Francisco Vargas Berchelt, right? Salido rematch. Gary Russell said he'll follow you to whatever division to rematch you. So I don't know if it makes sense for Lomachenko to move up that quick and fight Mikey Garcia. So I think fighting already ready-made lightweights makes more sense. So Easter Jr. is the number one fight I want to see. I don't know why. I can't speak on behalf of Mikey why he hasn't mentioned them Next question is from Silvana Montesinos. Ego, love your videos. Thank you. It was announced on Golpe that Chavez Sr. will be training his son for the majority of the camp, and then Freddie Roach would join them 3 weeks before the fight. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think it's a good idea for Chavez Sr. to train his son? And do you think this is too little time for Freddie Roach to have an impact? Ooh, that's a good question. Very good, Silvana. That's weird. I don't know why, but I'm assuming Freddie Roach is like training COTTO and Pacquiao for Jeff Horn or something, which is why maybe he doesn't join the full camp and is only going to be there for 3 weeks. But Freddie Roach has assistants. I forgot the guy's name, Marvin Samodio. He has assistants that can help and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's nothing new. And ultimately, training camps are good. And you want to have an effective training camp, but if Freddie Roach is not gonna, I don't think, no matter what, even if it was a 6 to 8 week camp and Freddie Roach is there for 8 weeks, 10 weeks, I don't really think Freddie Roach particularly is going to be showing so much different looks or something to Chavez Jr. where you could say he's the reason why he beat Canelo. You know what I mean? Chavez Jr. already has a solid offense, and you know what I mean? So I don't know. I just don't. It's weird that Freddie Roach would join so late, but again, I'm sure his A-listers that he's training take priority. Chavez Jr. is partly to blame for that because he stood Freddie Roach up, and he hasn't always been consistent. He's left Freddie Roach, wildcard gym and stuff like that, and went to other trainers. So, I mean, why would Freddie Roach prioritize him over Pacquiao, who has stayed consistent and kept him as the trainer, head trainer for his whole prime, you know what I mean, the prime of his career. So I don't blame Freddie Roach. But yeah, I mean, I don't think him coming 3 weeks is going to have too much of an impact because there's still it's 2017. There's ways to communicate, and you can send messages and stuff like that. As far as Chavez Sr. training him, it could be good and it could be bad. The reason I say that, Chavez Sr. is obviously a wealth of knowledge because he himself is a champion, former champion, great fighter, legendary fighter, Hall of Famer. So I would believe that his knowledge is probably good knowledge. Plus, it's his son, so he knows maybe how to get through to his son. He maybe knows what his son lacks. I mean, look at Chavez Sr., the other advice that he's offered his son. His son came off a long layoff after battling a lawsuit with Top Rank. He said, don't fight Andres Fanfare at light heavyweight. You need a tune-up. His son didn't listen, right? What happened? He takes the first ever stoppage loss, and he gets beat up for as long as it lasted. So obviously Chavez Sr. knows what the hell he's talking about, and he tried to warn his son. He warned him of Matavia. He said, this how you beat Sergio, this what you need to do, and then Chavez was eating cereal. So it could be good because, again, I do value Chavez Sr., and I think he has a lot of knowledge. But the bad is sometimes the people closest to us, then you're like, oh, that's just my dad. So even though to me or to you, Chavez Sr. is like a big deal or a legend, sometimes you get the fighter and they're like too comfortable. Like, that's my dad. And maybe Chavez Jr., who has had discipline issues in the past and doesn't look like he's taking his career serious, maybe, and I have to play devil's advocate dealing with a guy like Chavez Jr., who's a wild card. That's the bad. That's the worst case scenario. I gave you the best case scenario, and that's the worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, he does what he did for the Matavia fight in the 24/7, where he's just eating in pink underwear and he's just chilling in his chonies and going swimming and stuff, not really paying attention because, oh, that's just my dad saying this stuff. So, I mean, it's really up to Chavez how he interprets the information from either Freddie Roach or Chavez Jr. So that's just my standpoint on the situation. Next question, Cornelius Littlejohn. Hey, Ego, why does the crowd boo when the fighter has to get tape cut off his glove? And did you see the New Edition movie when they said that they got a $30 million guarantee from Al Heyman to do a tour? I haven't seen the New Edition series, but heard it's pretty solid. So I don't know the Al Heyman thing, but I knew Al Heyman was in the music business. I didn't know he had anything to do with New Edition's career, but that's kind of dope. And the crowd boos because a lot of times people are drunk in the crowds, and anything that interrupts the action, like someone's mouthpiece falls out, there's a lull in action where there's not too much action. It could be a war. I seen Tim Bradley
Ruslan Provodnikov, and I think there was like a point in that fight where they both kind of were tired and almost took a round off or took some seconds off, and people started booing. So people are just ignorant, drunk. They're gonna boo anything that interrupts. If the doctors have to check, like when they did Jose Pedraza in New York, when Gervonta Tank Davis was beating his ass, and they stopped it to make sure his vision was good and that he could continue to fight, people boo. So I think that's what it is, just kind of drunk and emotions. Anything that delays the fight, they're not really feeling. Next question, our man Kirkland. Ego, do you think Frampton will ever fight Rigo? No. Jacko versus Jacko, I think that would be a good fight. Would you rather see Rigo versus Loma or Rigo versus Frampton? I guess I'll throw Leo Santa Cruz in there, or Santa Cruz. My pick would be Rigondeaux versus Lomachenko #1, because that's the most meaningful. Between the two of them, they have like 600 Emmys, maybe even more than that, and they're considered some, if not the best amateurs ever, or some of them. So that's the #1 fight, because it's a great fight, it's a meaningful fight, and it will prove who's the best amateur turned pro, right? Because they both have done legendary things in a short period of time. Like in terms of their careers have been on, as a pro, have been on the fast track. Lomachenko has like less than 10 fights, and he already fought Axeman Walters, Gary Russell Jr., Salido. Even though he lost to him, I mean, he still has those names, right? Rigondeaux, in like 11, 13 fights, he fought Donaire and beat him down, who hadn't lost in 11 years. So that's the #1 fight. 2, I would say Leo Santa Cruz. Stylistically, he's much taller than Rigondeaux, and I don't think Frampton or Santa Cruz beats Rigondeaux. That's just my opinion. But I think Leo Santa Cruz's style, his volume style, him showing a little bit more shades of boxing and just how many punches he throws, good power, very tough, I think that would be more of a challenge. Frampton, I don't know if Frampton's a southpaw, but Frampton is much shorter, so that would be, he'd be closer in height to Rigondeaux than Leo Santa Cruz is, and he doesn't throw as many punches, so I would still watch, obviously, any of those fights, but that's the order. Rigondeaux Loma, Rigondeaux Santa Cruz, based on the style matchup and the attributes, like Santa Cruz's his frame and his style of fight, and then Frampton last. But if anybody can beat Rigondeaux, Lomachenko would be the only person on that list. I don't see Frampton or Santa Cruz beating him, but between Frampton and Santa Cruz, I think Santa Cruz would have a better shot stylistically, just because Rigondeaux, you know what I mean, some people question his chin. He's been knocked down. We've seen him buzz and clip and sat down on the mat. So Leo has more of the aggressive style, which could be good and could be bad, because the more aggressive you get, sometimes the better Rigondeaux gets. So it's a toss-up, but that's my order. Jeffrey Samarin, next question. What's Gucci? Ego, what up? Do you think that the abundant amount of belts flying around boxing gives the impression that belts are easy to obtain? Absolutely. For example, the silver WBC and super WBC. If there was just one WBC and one IBF, one WO, etc., do you think that would make belts more valuable? Yeah, definitely, because it makes it more like Golovkin versus Jacobs. They both have a WBA belt. One's a super champion and then one's a regular champion. So now they have to consolidate it. Versus if they only had one WBA and Golovkin had it, then Danny Jacobs would just be a good fighter, but he wouldn't be a champion, right? So yeah, it makes it more, anytime anything is more scarce, it becomes more valuable. Money, diamonds. Not everyone has a lot of money. Not everyone has diamonds and like precious stones and stuff like that. So it becomes more valuable. The scarcity creates value. So if there's 5 belts in a division and they're all, or like 5, I don't even know how many, let's say 8 belts in a division, and 3 of them were with one organization, and then they have some other one, then it's just multiple ways you can become a champion. And there's guys like that, it just makes it easier for people to get an opportunity because there's so many out there. But if there was one IBF, one WBC, one WBO, like you said, etc., then you get that belt, then you're the man. There wouldn't be like this quote-unquote paper champion, because there's guys right now who have versions of titles that are like weird. I think Jeff Horn has some kind of, I think he has like a WBC. I think Joe Smith Jr. has some version of the WBC. And, you know what I mean? You got all these guys that have like versions of the belts, but they're interim belts, or, you know what I mean? They're not the real belts. Then you have like Canelo Chavez. They're probably going to make their own belt for that fight. And that's not even happening in an actual weight class. That's happening at 164.5 pounds, which is man-made, a man-made weight class by one fighter, Canelo weight. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, the abundance of belts, it creates confusion. I meant to select this question. Next question, Markel Jackson. What up, Ego? I have 2 questions. I know everyone is talking about Garcia versus Crawford fight now, but what do you think about Crawford versus Broner at 140? That's a fight I'd always love to see. Will it happen? I don't think so, just because of the politics. I think it's the best fight that could be made at 140. Yes, it's very good. Second question, what do you think about Freddie Roach as a trainer? His top guys are taking L's. He doesn't seem to come with the right game plan. Broner versus Crawford is an excellent fight. Again, will it happen? I don't know. Bob Arum is his own man. He has his own business. And it seems, even though they made the John Molina fight, John Molina he's not, you know what I mean? Look at his last 6 fights. He hasn't won all of them. Broner is a certified Heyman star. You know what I mean? Arguably, not even arguably, I think Broner is bigger than Crawford in terms of celebrity, not skill or nothing. So, I don't know. Until they make a big, massive fight like a Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman level fight with one fighter from Top Rank and one fighter from the Heyman stable, then I'm gonna reserve my judgments. I got to see it to believe it. And like I said, John Molina, that's cool that Crawford and John Molina work together, or Dominique Wade, like I said earlier, versus Triple G. But that particular fight was a mandatory, so you don't really have no choice but to make that, or your fighter loses his spot or loses his belt or whatever. So I want to see them not have to make a fight like Crawford Molina, but with 2 big stars and one big top rank star and one big one big Heyman star like Broner Crawford. So seeing is believing. Freddie Roach as a trainer, I think he's solid. He's more on the offensive side. I don't think, if you need more, like, every trainer has specialties, you know what I mean? And I think Freddie Roach is the environment. There's a lot of good work out there in the Wild Card gym. A lot of fighters just kind of gravitate. He got Pacquiao. He has a high profile gym. So there's different aspects of it. But I mean, in terms of his skill, I mean, I don't know if he's saying anything like earth shattering. I mean, there's a lot of people who are slept on. I think Roberto Garcia is slept on as a trainer. I think Virgil Hunter slept on as a trainer. Ronnie Shields. You got to look at Ronnie Shields. He got 2 fighters, and they're destroying people with these retarded uppercuts. Edislani Lara versus Yuri Foreman, and then Jermall Charlo versus his mandatory Julian J. Rock Williams. And I'll never even hear people talk about Ronnie Shields like that. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great trainers. I think, obviously, Freddie Roach got a claim because he was linked to Pacquiao, and Pacquiao was running through people and became a big international star. But, I mean, he's solid. He's a good trainer. He just focuses more on the offensive side. Next question, Desmond Cat. Hi, Ego. Love the channel. Thank you. I got some questions for you. 1, you think what weight is the best weight for Conor McGregor if he steps in the boxing ring, and who he can beat in the boxing world? I don't know. I'm not sold on his boxing ability. So best weight would be 147 to 154, I guess. He definitely doesn't want to fight no one at 170 in boxing only. Like, can you picture Kovalev versus him? Man, Kovalev would destroy him. 2, I know Ward-Kovalev fight is very close, and it's universal agree that Kovalev won the first half of the fight in a lot of rounds. That Ward won is very close, but isn't those close rounds favored to Kovalev as he came out as a champion? I'm honestly sick of talking about Kovalev Ward, to be honest. It is what it is. I covered that fight live. I enjoyed myself, and I think a lot of people are just so caught up on this so-called controversy. I didn't see, like, honestly, when I first seen it live, I was like, wow, razor thin. But when I rewatched it on HBO, I thought the fight, Ward pulled away. He pulled away pretty decisively in that second half. That's just really how I seen it, right? And with that being said, some people are going to take this out of context. I'm not saying Kovalev looked like shit or he didn't get knocked down or didn't look like he was on Queer Street. But at the same time, he completely let off the gas, and it is what it is. He was still competitive, still trying. But you don't just give people like that. That's what people, boxing scoring has a certain criteria. And there's this nowhere on there does it say that you have to give the champion those rounds when they were close, when you perceive something, when you know what I mean, you have a scoring criteria. Now, in general, it takes more to unseat the champion, but that's not part of the criteria. It doesn't say like you have to do more, because what is doing more? That's up for interpretation. You know what I'm saying? So that whole it's almost like a myth. There's nothing in the scoring criteria that says you have to do more than, because your version of more is not the same as mine. You know what I mean? Because in a close fight, maybe Ward, what he did was doing more. Maybe they seen Kovalev. See, because you got to look at it like stuff like this. My question to all the people who said Kovalev won is this: why did Kovalev never have a round as good as he did in the second fight? When you look at any other Kovalev fight against high-profile caliber people, as soon as he started getting to them, what happened? He broke them down. And so you have to question why Kovalev was not able to do that. And it was because who was opposite that ring with him, right? When he got Jean-Pascal hurt, the end was near and Pascal got knocked out. Pascal had a chance to redeem himself, and he got beat even worse than the first time, right? When he hurt Bernard Hopkins in the first round, he won every single round after that, and he closed strong and nearly stopped Bernard Hopkins in the 12th round. And then Hopkins took a long layoff, came back and got knocked out of the ring by Joe Smith Jr., and he never really looked the same since. I mean, now he's retired. So, I mean, you have to question that for the champion. Why did Kovalev, why was he not able to be that authoritative as he normally is against anyone else? Nathan Cleverly, he gets them guys hurt, then they're gone. Cedric Agnew, then they're gone. Ismail Salak, then they're getting knocked out. But with Ward, he could not do that. So to me, that's clearly showing you that Andre Ward must be doing something in there that's negating what Kovalev normally would do, which is get you the fuck out of there, or close strong, or get to you and stop you and beat you down, or have more successful rounds. Like even the Isaac Chilemba, Kovalev didn't look particularly great in that fight, but he got his knockdown late in the fight. You know what I'm saying? So Kovalev's a good fighter, but there's a reason why he didn't look the same in the second half, and it was two words: Andre Ward. Because anybody else, a lesser fighter, probably would have got stopped. A lesser fighter probably would have got dominated if they didn't get stopped, right? And it is what it is. Next question, or next part of your question, 3. Who is the best southpaw in the game, Rigo, Loma, or Bugle? I don't even know. I mean, it's kind of hard to quantify because they're all in different weights. Those are the top southpaws, but I mean, I can't say one. You still got Pacquiao, Edeslandi Lara. I mean, there's a lot of great southpaws, like really good. Those are all high level, high skilled southpaws, but I can't narrow it down to one. They fight in different classes. I think Luis King Kong Ortiz is one also. So, I mean, there's a ton. There's a ton of good southpaws, but I can't say. I mean, who's better? Can I put Pacquiao over Lomachenko or Rigondeaux? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's just too hard. You can't narrow that down. But those 3 are definitely on the list. Then Luis King Kong Ortiz, Edeslandi Lara, and then also, who else did I just say? Oh, Errol Spence Jr. You know what I mean? There's just too many. There's a lot of good southpaws. That's just hard to. It's kind of a hard question. Next question, random commenter. What did Canelo had to beat Mayweather? Don't understand the question. I guess you're trying to say what did Canelo need to do to beat him? I thought Canelo's game plan was pretty stupid, to be honest. He's a 23-year-old, didn't have the same experience as Floyd Mayweather. You have to play off your strengths. Your strength is not, I have more ring IQ and experience than Floyd. So to me, what he should have done was instead of trying to outsmart, outwit, and outbox Floyd Mayweather, purely use his boxing ability, but use more of his weight advantage. Because even though it was a catchweight, Mayweather still came up weight and he came down, and he was 23, so he's young enough to do it, and he still rehydrated way more than Floyd. So he should have used more of his weight advantage and tried to like constantly pressure and kind of go for broke. I mean, if you don't feel like Canelo doesn't really get hurt too much that we've seen. I mean, Jose Miguel Cotto, so you're losing the fight, you got to press the action, and be smart. That's really what you have to do. So I thought Canelo trying to outbox Mayweather was foolish. He should have tried to use his weight advantage and then get off some good counters. Another question, random commenter, ever thought about voice acting? Yeah, I did a little, because I used to take acting classes and stuff. Shout out to George McGuire. He's been in The Pursuit of Happiness, The Fight Club. That's my acting coach, my acting teacher. But yeah, I've thought of all kinds of stuff like that, and then we went over like little drills and stuff about voice-over acting. But yeah, whatever makes money and makes sense. Next question, Rodho 1017. Ego, what do you think about Mikey Garcia versus Robert Easter Jr.? Do you see it happening at 35 or at 140 when they both move up? I think it can happen at 35. They're both on the Heyman side of things, premier boxing champs. They both have belts now. WBC, Mikey Garcia, IBF, Robert Easter. So I think it can happen. And imagine this, if Mikey Garcia fought Robert Easter, I don't guarantee that he beats Robert Easter, but Mikey Garcia probably has more experience, but it's still a good fight. Easter has a good frame. He has athleticism, speed, confidence. Looked like he had a good chin versus Richard Comey. It's a hell of a fight. But hypothetically, let's say Mikey Garcia opened up as a favorite and beat Easter, then that would set up an Adrien Broner fight perfectly. Because now Lil Bro lost to Mikey Garcia, and if Mikey Garcia, that would just definitely usher in Mikey Garcia versus Broner, which Showtime is already trying to make. I talked to Robert Garcia, and he confirmed that Showtime presented that to them. Said, hey, how about you do multi-fights and work up to a Broner fight? And Mikey Garcia said he would take a Broner fight. So I think that would be a good fight. But if Robert Easter beats Mikey Garcia, then props to him. He's the man, because Garcia is looking like a beast. Next question, Ali Dago 619. Boxing Ego, do you think Mayweather is the best skillful boxer of all time? Yes. Pure skill, ring IQ, ring generalship. You got to put him up there. And he has the amount of champions, former world champions, current champions, and the resume to prove it. Like, am I saying everyone's gonna like his style or no? You know what I mean? That's neither here nor there. Because there's also good fighters like Tommy Hearns, Roberto Duran, Sugar Ray Leonard, and some people like their style better. But skill for skill, he's up there. Like when you look at complete fighters, Roy Jones my favorite, but he obviously showed as later as his career progressed, he wasn't the most technical, fundamental guy. And as soon as his freakish athleticism slowed down a touch, then people were able to touch him and beat him. So skill for skill, Floyd has preserved his O, and he's preserved his reputation as just a complete fighter. I mean, typically, like the last fight I can remember where his face looked like anything was maybe Maidana. He had a fat lip, but typically you don't see Floyd after fight, post fight, with his eye all cut to shit and bloody and his eye about to fall off, and you know what I mean, like Francisco Vargas and guys like that. And that's because of they're good fighters, but they lack overall skill, lack defense. And that's part of boxing, whether you think it's boring or not. It's part of boxing, and it's smart. He's taking the least amount of punishment. These other guys, like Francisco Vargas, he's a perfect example. Like, where does his career go from here? He lost his belt to an unknown commodity in Berto. He has been through back-to-back wars. I mean, where does he go from here? If you have skills, there's always somewhere you can go. You can always bounce back, and it's easier to bounce back. If you're a rugged, I'm gonna hit you until you knock me out or until I knock you out type of fighter, then you're gonna have a shorter shelf life, and that's just what it is. The last question, again from random commenter, Ego, when did HBO start going bad? What are some of the things they didn't do anymore, and what are some of the things they should do? When do you think Showtime started to take over? I think for me, I noticed it in 2016 to current. That's when I really noticed it. Before that, HBO's programming was still solid, and that's when I noticed they started like doing weird stuff. Like the things why they went bad to me is because they got away from it, and it's a spit to the boxing fans' face that they're making it painstakingly obvious for anybody to see that boxing is not their priority. All the good fights that they have had for like 2016, 2017 calendar so far is pay-per-view. You know what I mean? And then on regular HBO, we get Hank Lundy versus Terence Crawford, John Molina, Bear Chelt versus Francisco Vargas, which it could be a good action fight, but it's, you know what I mean, it's not the biggest and baddest. Vasil Lomachenko, Rocky Martinez, those are the fights we're getting on the regular network, right? So that's one big mistake. They started abusing the pay-per-view model and putting everything, Canelo Smith, Canelo Khan, Canelo Chavez, it's like everything's pay-per-view now. Golovkin Lemieux, Golovkin Jacobs. Like, what is the point of a regular HBO subscription at this point if you only get it for their boxing? So that's what they really did to mess up, and they started getting away from their programs. How come you have Kovalev who speaks English? Like I have like 2 40 minutes to an hour long roundtables with Sergey Kovalev, and he speaks English. He speaks good English. You can understand him, easy to decipher. You know what he's talking about. There's a couple. Sometimes you get stumped with a word or two. Doesn't know the English translation, and the Aegis helps him out. But he speaks clear. Why did we not get an HBO face-off? Max Kellerman, Sergey Kovalev, and Andre Ward. And I tell you, that would be probably explosive. Kovalev, he's not no punk. He's like, Ward, he's cool, but he's a piece of shit. And Ward is gonna be like, okay, you know what I mean? I think it would have been a good face-off, probably one of their better ones in recent memory. We didn't even get one, but they did one for Canelo and Khan, and they didn't even really talk about nothing. Khan wasn't really selling the fight. Canelo doesn't speak English. He didn't really say anything. You know what I mean? It was really boring, to be honest. Plus, it was a fight that shouldn't have happened anyway. So that's what HBO did to mess up. They kind of went away from what made them. HBO 24/7. Look at the Mayweather De La Hoya Classic. The face-off with Mayweather, COTTO, Mayweather, and Victor Ortiz. Bernard Hopkins, Jean Pascal, Sergio Martinez, and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. These were classic face-offs. And it's been a while since I watched a face-off and it really got like excited me. Maybe COTTO versus Martinez was one of their better recent ones, because there's a part where COTTO was talking about, I'm the A side, and Martinez was like, oh, you're the A side? He was like, who are you with a B side? Basically, COTTO was saying, I'm the B. I've been the B side in fights, so he needs to be the B side now. I was a B side versus Mayweather and Pacquiao, and then Sergio Martinez says some smart aleck remark. He was like, oh, you're the B side versus Pacquiao and Mayweather, and you lost those 2 fights. Oh, that's right. And then COTTO just looked at him crazy. So that's what's wrong with HBO. They went away from that, and that's when Showtime started to take over, because they had the Heyman engine going. They have all these fighters, and they were able to put on a lot of fights on their network or their affiliate network, CBS, and that's how it's been up until this point. Showtime has had the first quarter on lock. Leo Santa Cruz, Carl Frampton 2, fun fight. Mikey Garcia, knockout of the year. Badu Jack, James DeGale with Tank Davis on the undercard, and that was just in January. You still got Broner, Granados. You still got Anthony Joshua. Klitschko is probably going to be on Showtime. You got Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman on their affiliate father company, CBS. So that's what they did to go wrong. And those are some of the things that they don't do anymore. It's like they don't focus on boxing. Let me know how you guys think I did this week. I try to get to a lot of questions. Drop it in the comment section. Make sure you share the video, like the video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off.